This is the Tom Barnard Podcast. Listen live weekday mornings, 8 to 9:30, or anytime you like as a podcast on the Tom Barnard app at tombarnardshow.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
You damn right. That's all we have to say. Just looking over some stats for the weekend. Thank God baseball is over because the Twins could not have choked any harder than they did. I mean, they just fell apart. My God.
Yeah, that is not the ideal way to close out a season.
No, losing 3 in a row to the Orioles. Let's not next time. Just maybe we'll win one. What do you think, man?
Yeah.
So yeah, the Twins are done for the year. Joe Pohlad says Falvey and Baldelli will be back with the Twins in 2025. How about going and getting some players? Like, oh, how about Arise? Let's get him back because he just won his 3rd batting title in a row for the 3rd different team.
Preferably somebody that's going to stay healthy.
That'd be good.
I saw Barnard Buxton after the game yesterday said, like, this is going to be the first off season in a while that he hasn't had to, like, rehab his body and all this stuff because he's been so healthy. You missed 60 games, pal.
And healthy? You missed a third
about?
of the season, for Christ, or more than a third of the season.
You missed 60 games.
Jeez.
What are you talking about here?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's all I've got to say. So, yeah, I was looking at the teams. You got the Mets and the Braves. You got the Astros and the Tigers, the O's and the Royals. I really don't have any interest in watching the playoffs this year.
No.
Or the World Series, for that matter. I just don't. Whoever spent the most money is going to win. It's like being a politician. If you got the most money, you're going to win. Right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a lot of times what it comes down to in baseball. And you do get your surprise teams every once in a while, but usually by the end of it, the teams that you thought were going to be standing there are standing there.
Yeah, kind of. Well, yes, that's very, very true. No question about it. Got to bring quick attention to the fact that Kris Kristopherson has died at, what is he, 85, something like that? 86?
Sounds about right.
He's right in that general area, but I ran into him a couple of times. A hell of a nice guy, actually. Very nice guy. Good actor. I mean, for what he did, I thought he did a good job. But, yeah, it's really
88.
Oh, he's 88, really?
He was 88.
Man, not bad, Chris. Usually, you know, like very – well, I don't know if he was he probably had a lot of money, though, because he did recording, he did the concerts, he did movies, he did TV shows. He must have a decent amount of dough anyway. Oh, speaking of that, a decent amount of dough, would you look up for me? Because a friend of mine, here's what I like, by the way. This friend of mine is a billionaire. Okay.
Yeah.
But he calls me, hey, will you look up some stats for me? It's like, I don't work for you. What the hell? You're my friend, you dope. Yeah, he wants to buy something, and I don't know what the value of it is.
Okay.
What's he trying to buy?
KQRS. He wants to buy it, and I have no idea what its value is. How would they figure its value today? Because they don't have any ratings left. They don't have any advertisers left. How would you even know that?
I don't know. I would assume you'd have to look at the number of listeners they get and what you can get for advertising, and
so it would be
based
zero.
off of how much you're paying the on-air talent and whatever else.
Yeah, and wouldn't that be a little tough too? Because it's like a part of a cluster where I don't think.
A cluster F. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, would you have to buy all of the Cumulus owned stations in that building? I don't think you could just be like, yeah, I want that.
I want to pluck that one out.
Oh, so nobody's going to do that. There's no way.
I don't think so. Because if Cumulus was trying to get out of it, they would probably be like, you have to take all these other ones that maybe don't make as much money.
So you just gave me, because he was going to give me part of the station if I came back to work there. So you just ruined that for me.
Oh, I'm all on board. If Tom Barnard returns to buy KQRS, that's a show I'm watching. God, can you imagine how that would piss some people off? But seriously, how do you, I got to ask you guys a question.
Okay.
Because the world's getting worse by the minute. I woke up this morning a little early, so I watched a little national news. And here's what I don't like. You can say things, you cannot, say things like this, that, or other, because somebody might be offended by it. We don't want any offensive language in our lives anymore. It's time. That's the old America. We got to get rid of it. Let's not refer to anything like, race, color, creed, any of that stuff. Let's don't go after any of that stuff. But and by the way, I met the guy once, one of the biggest pricks I've ever met in my life. What's his name again? The guy's on, I can never remember his name because I don't like him. He's just a prick. He's got a talk show at night. I was trying to remember what channel he's on. I don't even remember what the hell channel he's on, but
I'm just going to
Bill Maher. That's
Bill Maher.
Oh, okay. That is not the late night personality that I thought you were going to. I was going to start listing off.
Oh, you mean listing off like Jimmy?
Well, I know you don't like Jimmy Kimmel. I know you don't like Jimmy Fallon. Any of those guys. I know you don't like Stephen Colbert. So
they all got the same. Once again, they're all locked in on the same deal. And so why do we need three of you?
Different networks.
Is it a different hour? I thought they were on together.
No, networks.
Oh, networks.
Yeah.
Who cares about that bullshit? But here's what I love. And again, I got no dog in this fight. I still don't know who the hell I'm going to vote for because I'm not wild about either one of them, to tell you the truth. But so it's like, you can't say that to this person because, you know, it's deeply offensive and we've got to get rid of this offensive behavior. And then I watched this guy, Bill Maher, last night. He must have done 5 jokes on how fat Donald Trump is. So it's okay to ridicule one guy about how fat he is, which could kill him, by the way. If you get too fat, it could kill you. Why would you make fun of that if you can't make fun of anything else? I mean, I don't care that you do. Don't get me wrong. Because if you couldn't make fun of people, I wouldn't even have a life. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like I feel like fat jokes, like that's where we're still making fat jokes. Like we haven't evolved enough.
It's low
comedically,
it's low hanging fruit. As somebody of the overweight community, it's frankly, and also that doesn't really like. If that phases you, I think in 2024, you got to find some other stuff to.
What phases you?
Like, if Tevin's like, fatty and points at me, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. Why is it okay to do that and nothing else?
I think because it's, for the most part, a lot of the times it's like, it's more in control than other things.
You really?
Yeah. Like if I wanted to, I could probably go start working out and eating healthier, and then that would go away.
And I understand that. That's not that big a deal. But I just don't understand, if we're not going to do that, then let's not do it at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Don't get me wrong; it's not nice. I don't think it's
I understand that.
I don't want that to be lost in the translation here. That's not. It's.
But I mean, this guy has no better writers than to write fat jokes about a guy running for president.
Yeah, unless it's like the funniest.
Well, then it was
fat
funny.
Joke I've ever heard. Like, okay, like, oh, your mama's so fat that you're like, okay, let's move on.
Oh, those your mama jokes are still my favorites of all time.
There used to be a show dedicated.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember
dedicated.
That. I think it was it Wilmer Valderrama from that 70s show?
Yes, exactly. And I love yo mammy boy. What my what? Yo mammy. I still love that more than anything on earth. No, and again, I am not offended by, you want to call Donald Trump fat, good for you and all the rest of it, but you can't use part of the rules for your own benefit, and then the other part is also for your own benefit. It's like, no, you either do it or you don't, right?
Yeah, and I feel like all these politicians, there's enough where you can poke fun at them in different areas where, like, fat, that's like if he did everything else perfectly and you have nothing else to go off and you're like, well, he's fat. Like, okay, there's enough where you can make fun of him for something else that he said, I'm sure. Just give it 5 minutes.
A couple of weeks ago, no, it was more than that. It was a couple of months ago now, actually. I really pissed a woman off because she had no sense of humor whatsoever. Because she came up to me on the street and said, I got to ask you a question about some of the things you guys talk about on the show and blah, blah, blah. By the way, I've been running it through a lot more listeners, so maybe somebody should get off their ass over at Stats and get those things updated. But in any case, what the hell was I just talking about?
Ran into a listener. She was asking about what we're talking about.
Yeah, she was talking about all this different stuff. She goes, and it was about basically this, that there are some things you just can't say anymore. And I said, like what? I said, well, there's a lot of different things. I said, but I mean, I can't say them. Why not? Well, because they're offensive. Offensive to who? And I kept that. And I wasn't being aggressive with her at all. I was just asking questions, all the rest of it. And so finally at the end, she had a very, very good sense of humor. She looks at me and goes, all right, I'm sick of talking to you, bitch. Which I thought was very funny. See, I can't say that to her, but she can say that to me, which I thought was very entertaining, actually. I liked it a lot. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hell, have a good time. Calm down, everybody. Relax. But these late night shows, you guys can't like those shows. They're terrible.
Oh, I can't remember the last time I tuned into, especially if watch a full one, maybe catch like a clip of a funny interview or something, something that I like, but definitely not sitting down and turning on the TV to watch it.
Do they? I don't think any of them have any ratings anymore. I think for a while, none of them broke the $1 million mark or $1 million viewer mark.
I wouldn't know about that. I haven't seen those stats, but I'm with Kevin. Like, I can't remember the last time I thought like a late night show was appointment viewing. Like, that.
That's interesting because that's not good news in your generation to hear two people say that. That is not good news because I don't know anybody your age that watches late night television.
No, I mean, like Kevin said, I'll see the clips here and there, but for the most part, night after night, it's like, okay, here's a C-list celebrity about their new show on the CW. It's like, well, I don't care about Johnny Johnson and his new show, like Superboy. Like, who cares?
Did you come up with that stat yet? How much KQ's worth?
I couldn't find that one, but as of March 5th, 2024, like the Fallon show, for example, averaged 1.1 million total viewers.
Eek.
And then a lot of other numbers that don't really mean anything to me, but it looks like everything's down either 5%, 22%, 13%.
Holy Hannah.
So,
well, it's just not good. And it's the same message from all of them. One of them should step up and say, hey, we can't be doing this. These headphones just went dead. This is really great.
Oh, boy.
Jesus.
We are just
all I do is suffer
off and cooking this morning, everyone. Quick, Tevin, say something about Tom while he can't hear you.
Since he can't hear us right now, we're going to.
Yeah, there's a shock. Personal attacks abound. There's no doubt about it, ladies and gentlemen. You're mean to me. Ooh, these work really well.
Oh, now we're talking.
Those other ones better stay on the charger for a while. Okay, any other head? Kris Kristopherson died at 88 years old. Had a nice long life. Pretty damn good actor. Not a great singer, but a great feel for his singing. Is that a good way to put it?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Had him on the show a couple of times. A very, very pleasant man to deal with. I thought it was very cool, no question. Why don't we take a break here because we got to come back and start talking some football because baseball, thank God, is finally over. That team broke my heart yet again. God, that team sucked at the end. We'll talk more about it with Phil right after this. When you go to a restaurant, you expect the chef to be an expert. You expect your auto mechanic to be an expert when it comes to fixing your car. You judge them both by the results of their work. Josh Arnold is an expert in investments and planning your financial future. Josh Arnold is my expert. He should be yours too. I talk to Josh every week, and he understands the market, the economy, and he knows how to plan for your retirement. Do not put it off another day. The man with your plan is Josh Arnold. Call Josh now for a no-obligation, 48-minute evaluation. You got nothing to lose, and you'll have an expert planning and managing your financial future. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. Again, Josh's number is 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance, no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
When you need someone to listen, a lawyer you know and trust.
If you've never been in an auto accident, it's hard to know what to expect from the insurance adjuster. Here are some tips. 1, if they talk to you about whether or not you should hire a lawyer, it's a good sign that you probably should. 2, it's illegal for them to give you any legal advice. They aren't lawyers, and they aren't licensed to practice law. 3, if they tell you that everyone involved in the accident is at fault, they're wrong. This comes from the belief that you're at fault for just being on the road. That's nonsense and not supported by any law. Finally, remember that friendly adjusters are often just gaining information. They want you to do most of the talking so they can file their report. I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw & Bryant. I hope you're never injured in a collision. But if you are, don't sign anything until you've talked to us.
Find Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw & Bryant.
Let us take a second to talk about my bank. That'd be North American Banking Company, Mike Bilski's company. Look, there's no shortage of banking options in the Twin Cities. You know that. If you're tired of being just a number to your big national bank, be sure to talk to my friends at North American Banking Company. They offer the same online and mobile banking options as other banks, but with the unparalleled service of a community bank. I also like being able to go to any of their 6 Twin Cities locations: Roseville, 50th and France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. So if you're looking for a better banking experience, why not bank with my friends at North American Banking Company? Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Phil joins us now. We're not going to talk any baseball because they suck. We are going to talk about a football, and I still need to find out what the value of KQRS is as a radio station.
We're trying to find that number.
Yeah, because a friend of mine wants to buy it and then bring me back.
Oh, okay. Well,
he's a billionaire too, so they'll probably be able to tap him for a little dough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's as valuable as it was, 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago. But hey, maybe we can get a group together and
I wonder how much
damage.
Because I have no idea how much a radio station is worth in a top 15 market. I have no clue. It's just I don't know.
It's funny. We were actually Judd and I were talking in our little text thread yesterday. I know you don't want to talk baseball, but since you're talking about how much do radio stations sell for, the Pohlads, I believe, bought 96.3 like 15 years ago for was it 20 or 25 million dollars?
Yep.
And then they wound up, I think, selling it for a few $1 million at the end.
3 million, yeah, I think. 25 million for that?
Well, that was like 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah, but holy God.
No, that's before Spotify and Apple started putting a dent into music radio. So you don't want, I know the Twins suck, but you don't want to rip on the Pohlads at all for like 5 minutes here. Just three minutes.
I would love to hear it. There's no question about it. That team pisses me off to no end. And that ownership, they've won 2 World Series. You can't take that away from them, but they have done nothing since. Nothing.
So here's a quote. So yesterday, and of course, yesterday was the last game of the season for the Twins, who wind up they get swept. They were completely disinterested the last week of the season. And the Twins, in either brilliant or cowardly fashion, however you look at it, they did their end-of-season media availability with Joe Pohlad and Derek Falvey, the head of the front office, in the middle of a Vikings-Packers game on Sunday afternoon.
Good move.
No TV cameras, only like a handful of beat writers that cover the team every single day. Just to hide it. Let's just tuck this in over here. And credit to Aaron Gleeman from The Athletic for asking some really pointed questions about the last 12 months of payroll reduction, a bad TV deal that expired with Comcast on May 1st and left fans unable to view games for like 2 months. He pressed Joe Pohlad on payroll. Here's one of the answers from Joe Pohlad. Everybody owns this. He's talking about the collapse. Everybody owns this a little bit, and I played a role in that, Pohlad said. It's been well documented, this payroll decision, and as I kind of reflect on my role in all of this, we were at an all-time high in payroll last year, right? Fans were all in, players were all in.
Nope.
We were headed in a great direction, and I had to make a very difficult business decision. But that's just the reality of my world. I have a business to run, and it comes with tough decisions, and that's what I had to do. I wouldn't make any other decision because that's the business position that we were in. Business. I didn't hear anything about winning or World Series or fans.
No, that's not in the business decision portion of things. No. He just cuts payroll and he expects the coaches to figure out how to win championships on their own.
It's crazy to me that after all the magical moments last season, he probably had a deluxe box seat to that playoff series that they won every single game. He witnessed all that. Soaked in, drunk in that atmosphere of the fans, and still after that has the nerve to go look at numbers on a piece of paper and say, all right, yeah, we're gonna cut back because it's a business. You can't buy if the owner can't buy into that. I don't know what else you're expecting.
Yeah.
You know what I love most about that argument? I have business decisions to make. They're tough decisions. Was it a bitch of a decision when you were left a few $1 billion when your father or grandfather died? Was that a bitch too? You didn't earn a dime of that money, pal. Yeah. Don't act like it's your money. You were handed that money.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's almost like you get to like multiple generations of sports ownership, and it feels oftentimes like their goal is to just not blow the bankroll that the family is set up with, right? Rather than. Like I'm reading through all the quotes from yesterday, and I don't see anything about, hey, our standard is to win a championship here. It's been over 30 years.
Right.
We have one playoff series win in the past 20 years, and quite frankly, it's kind of embarrassing. It was fun last year. It was great, but it's kind of embarrassing that we celebrated our first playoff game win in 20 years. Everything he says is about right-sizing a business.
Oh, yeah.
Are we supposed to just go to Target like, oh, look at this gate. How many millions of dollars in hot dogs are they going to sell on this homestand? Yes, we all have a hand in right-sizing the business together at One Twins Way. Bleep off.
Family's worth $4.2 billion. And they don't want to spend a couple $100 million to make the team better?
Yeah. And you know what teams don't say as they're hoisting their banners that they just won? Well, I wish we wouldn't have spent so much money to win this championship. No, you win the championship, and then that probably buys him 5 to 10 years of going cheaper on a payroll. And then you don't have empty seats, and you can make more money for this business that you're so busy trying to run.
Well, and Phil, the biggest problem we have, it killed Kris Kristopherson. He found out the Twins weren't going to spend any money, and he just dropped dead at 88 years old.
Yeah. I saw that.
A massive Twins fan, Kris Kristopherson.
Kris Kristopherson, yeah. Big fan of the early 2000s resurgence of Twins baseball.
Hey, he was a great pitcher, though. Look at his initials. K.
Backwards K, yeah.
Backwards K, exactly. He strikes out everybody that comes to the plate. Works for. I want my Twins back. I want my winning Twins back. I love the Twins. I absolutely adore that team. And just a little bit beneath them would be your Minnesota Vikings, which we'll get to in a second here. But, I mean, it means a lot to the people here, particularly the Twins and the Vikings. They've been around the longest. I mean, obviously the Lakers were here then before the Timberwolves came back. But a lot of guys my age know, well, I guess a little younger than me, never even knew that the Lakers came out of Minnesota, the Minneapolis Lakers. But yeah, just spend some money. Let's go. I got to be very, very honest with you. I am impressed with this coach. I didn't like the fact that we went up by 28 points and then won by 2. I wasn't wild about that at all.
Yeah, it was definitely a nail biter in the end. So many weird things happened. The Vikings were, I mean, it was 28-0. They were on full cruise control. Yep. And then the backup punt returner, Jalen Naylor, comes in because the regular punt returner, very reliable Brandon Powell, got dinged on the previous possession. Mm-hmm. And again, it's 28-0. There's like a minute to go in the first half. You don't need to catch the punt. Just let the punt roll into the end zone or wherever and go into the locker room 28-0. And the sun is glaring in his eyes and he's like, God. And he muffs a punt. Packers get the ball at the 3-yard line. And that changed the entire momentum and vibe of the game. But yeah, not every game. I think sometimes as Vikings fans, we think that we're such front runners where when things are going well, where everything's great and every game should just be a linear line from 28-0 to 52-0. But most NFL games are messy. The Vikings, big picture, are 4-0, and the last 3 wins are against 3 of the top 6 or 7 teams in the NFL. So really, really good signs.
Unbelievable. That's all I have to say. No one saw this coming.
No, I don't even think the most optimistic pie in the sky fans saw 4-0. Sam Darnold is top 5 in pretty much every quarterback category through the first 4 games. It's pretty incredible.
Again, I mean, but we started this show a couple of years ago. Well, it's about a year and a half ago now, and it was going along fine. But we needed that one more cog, that powerful presence. And then you came along, and it just changed everything.
Yeah, and much like Sam Darnold, the first part of my career was wildly disappointing, underachieving, overpaid. And now like, that Mackey guy is still around, huh? That Sam Darnold still around. Crazy. Wow. Thought that guy was out of the league 2 years ago.
But I mean, you guys know, because you've been, your heart's all involved, and it's in there, and no question about it. Nobody saw this coming. It's wonderful that it happened. It did bother me that they were up 28-0 and came a tick away from losing the game, which I wasn't wild about. But because you're around it a lot closer than I am, is there something between the coach and the quarterback that just never appeared before on the quarterback side or the coach side, depending on who you're talking to?
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell is one of the great quarterback whisperer coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, seems like it.
And I could go through a bunch of examples, but starting with Kirk Cousins, and even before Kevin was in Minnesota, some of the different stops as an assistant coach. But he gets to Minnesota, and Kirk Cousins had been a starting quarterback for like 7 or 8 years with 2 or 3 different head coaches. And those head coaches were 500 exactly, an equal record across the board with Kirk as their quarterback. And Kevin O'Connell was like 15-7 or something with Kirk, or just something absurd, way over 500, right? He brings Josh Dobbs off the plane, having never met teammates, a journeyman backup, gets him to win a couple of games. And then what he's doing with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was deemed a bust league-wide by everybody.
Yep.
And then he kind of sneaks in to San Francisco as a backup last year and gets to be with a great championship caliber infrastructure. And it's, you know, we write these quarterbacks off. Oh, you see them for a season and a half and they're a train wreck, and we don't consider the fact that, maybe he's not good enough, but more than likely he was with a bad organization with bad coaching, no weapons. And it's funny when you put Sam Darnold with actual infrastructure. Oh, he can play. Interesting.
Damn well, too. I think he's having a hell of a year. There's no doubt about it.
Yep. He leads the NFL in touchdown passes with 11. His career high is 19. So he's like 3 games away from tying his career high if he keeps going at this pace. And I think he's second in passer rating, too.
That's amazing. I mean, it's wonderful, but you got to give it all to the coaches and him. I mean, seriously, whatever it was that needed to be found in him, they found it all together, probably.
Yeah, and it's funny. He's like 26 years old.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold. You know, he's younger than Joe Burrow, who's still looked at in Cincinnati as this bright young quarterback, right? Which he is, but he's younger than. I think he's like basically the same age as Lamar Jackson, maybe younger than Lamar Jackson too. So he's got, now the big decision is going to be, if he keeps playing like this and the Vikings make a run in the playoffs, do you give him a bag of cash because he's a free agent at the end of the season? Ooh. Sam Darnold is. Or do you let him walk, let somebody else pay him, and then you bring J.J. McCarthy, the kid you drafted 10th overall, and you give the reins to him for about $5 million a year. This will be a fun problem to have if the Vikings have 2 really good quarterback options in 2 or 3 months from now.
There you have it. By the way, every smart ass friend that I have is texting in this morning to they have business ideas for the morning show here.
Maybe the whole goal of the show should be to right size our business, like the Pohlads and the Twins.
That's what we're gonna. It's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. We're gonna keep on pushing, and get more revenue coming in. There's no question about it, and we'll get it all taken care of. So basically, the latest post I got from a friend of mine said, "Yeah, it's great. If you guys should buy KQ, or your buddy should buy KQ, and then he'll just give you part of it to go back there and work on it." After yesterday's game, Tom, I think we should buy the Vikings. Might be a little more expensive.
See, this is right. You should have had that vision a month ago, Tom, when the stock was lower.
Exactly. Absolutely right. But yeah, apparently I'm going to buy everything in the city now, according to my friends.
Can you buy the Twins, actually? Just put a group together, Tom.
I'll be honest with you. Rick Bourne came to me years ago, and he wanted to buy the Twins, and they were like, I think $75 million when we talked about it. And can you imagine? I'd be giving everybody the finger today. No question. Yeah.
I'm gonna give you one more quote just to trigger you for the road here.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
So Aaron Gleeman, again, asking great questions. He said to Joe Pohlad, "You said you have to make business decisions, but does a sports franchise necessarily need to be treated as a typical business? Or can it be treated as part of a bigger community and you are the stewards of something that involves thousands of people?"
Love it.
And Joe Pohlad said, "I view my job as running our business on behalf of this team and our fans. I'm trying to manage our business." Business. And
he was handed that business, by the way. You think he ever earned that title of running that business? He was handed over to him.
Yeah.
In my case, my dad left me when he died. I think there was a pack of Pall Malls with only 2 cigarettes left. I think that's what I got.
And one of them was like a stub that he put out on the sidewalk and put it back in the pack.
Oh, I can close with this. I know we got to get going, but Jude, when we take him for walks, our little puppy, he loves to sniff everything on the damn sidewalk. Mm-hmm. And he goes over and there's a cigarette and he starts sniffing the cigarette. I'm like, what are you doing? Are you nuts? Turned out it wasn't a cigarette. It was what was left of a joint. And he got higher than I didn't know dogs could get high on pot. Did you know that?
Just off the fumes, or did he take a little puff?
No, I think he ate part of it. I think he ate. He was like, he's putting on like Jimi Hendrix at the house.
Yeah.
He was higher than a kite for about 24 hours. It was
unbelievable. I mean, it wouldn't take much for a dog, no, just like a, no. For the first time I ever took a puff, they told me take 2 puffs and chill. Take 2 tokes and chill. I took 2, didn't feel anything right away, so I took 4 more just to make sure. And I was chilling. First time I ever smoked weed. I was chilling.
Yeah, honest to God, I just the whole. And the amazing thing is, I will close with this. Catherine takes him to the vet. Walk in, he looks at the dog and goes, "He's high on cannabis." He didn't even have to examine him, and he knew the way he was acting was because he was high on cannabis.
He's wearing a tie-dyed harness.
Exactly. All right, Pally, brilliant report, and we will talk to you on Friday.
All right, let's right-size that business. Go Twins.
Right-size that damn show of yours over there right now.
I'll do my best.
Thanks, Pally. Hi, Tom Barnard here for Livia Weight Control Centers. Your success story starts today. Join Livia's doctor-recommended award-winning nutrition program and get your first 8 weeks free. You could lose up to 20 pounds or more in your first 8 weeks. Plus, Livia offers weight loss medications to accelerate results, receive personalized one-on-one guidance, plus expert nutrition and medical support. Livia is the destination for all weight loss solutions. Trust me when I say this, Livia works. And I told you many, many times that I'm very honest with you about this. About 3 weeks ago, maybe it's a month ago now, something like that. I don't remember. It was a while ago. But I wanted to because I was within like 9 pounds of my weight loss goal of 214, right? 9, 10, but whatever it was. I also am not the kind of guy that's going to come on and lie to you about this, that, and the other thing. I started lifting weights a few weeks ago. I am going to have to figure this out because even though I've been behaving, in the last 3 weeks, I've put on 7 pounds. Now, let me ask you a question. You lift weights. Is it mostly water? I mean, what the heck? There's no way I could have put on, and it doesn't show up as all muscle either, by the way. Some of it does, but some of it shows up as fat, and that's not accurate.
No, I would assume it's probably a lot of water weight because your body is going to retain more water.
7 pounds, though? Well, you're absolutely right. You do retain more water. There's no question about that. But I'm going to meet with them on Thursday, and I'm going to have to drop the weightlifting until I get down to my goal and then try to figure out what that frame is. Is it within +3, -3, where I need to be to lift weights and maintain my weight loss? Because I don't care if it's, you have to understand something. One of the reasons that I went on Livia, one of the reasons I've lost 90 or now it's about 85 pounds because they put 7 back on. I didn't really, but it's there. But in any case, the reason I did it was not because I didn't want to, do this anymore, or do that anymore, blah, 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 blah. The deal was, as you go along in life, you want to keep dropping your weight so you live longer. I mean, very thin people live a long damn time. There's no question about that. So that's why I want to let you know and be totally honest with you. I thought I was doing everything right. I get on the scale. I weigh 7 pounds more than I did about 10 days ago. And I blame it on Tevin. It's his fault 100%. So we'll get through this, and I'll be very 100% honest with you about how it's going. Visit Livia.com. That's LIVEA.com, or call 855-GO-LIVIA. Join Livia's nutrition plan today and get your first 8 weeks free. Plus, Livia Medical offers GLP-1 medications for accelerated results. Visit Livia.com or call 855-GO-LIVIA. Choose the trusted leader serving our communities for 15 years because Livia does work.
The past several years have been the craziest in the history of the car business. The pandemic, supply chain, and chip issues, all causing extreme inventory shortages that led to, predatory pricing. Some dealers charge thousands of dollars over MSRP.
We never played that game. I'm Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC. We knew that would leave a bad taste in a customer's mouth. More importantly, from an integrity standpoint, it was just wrong.
So what about the current market? Inventory and pricing.
Valley has their best inventory in years. Really all the Buick and GMC models. Even the previously hard-to-find Yukons, HD pickups, and Hummer EVs. Plenty of deep discounts. Many with factory rebates and low-interest financing.
Then it's a good time to buy?
It's a great time. We're welcoming our previous customers back, as well as anyone else that felt the treatment just didn't feel right the last time somewhere else.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Car buying without the bad aftertaste.
Mike Lindell of MyPillow employees want to thank our listeners for all your continued support. By the way, I mentioned this morning, I did not know it. My coffee, baby. What do you think of that action?
I think I said that. I don't know if that's actually what it's called.
It's called My Coffee.
Is it actually?
It is.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I'm not. Look it up, will you? Would you look that up?
Yep.
Devin? I believe it's called My Coffee. He's got My Pillow, my God.
Yeah, it looks like it's My Coffee is rich, but also very smooth and low acidity.
So it likes Mike himself.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Great to be here. So look at that. Now look what you learned from Uncle Tom today. There's My Coffee.
And he's on the label waving an American flag. So this is the most America coffee you can buy.
Most American coffee you can buy on earth. No question about it. When Mike started MyPillow, it was just a problem solution, one product company. Well, since then, we now have hundreds of products with My Coffee. Let's see. Some of you may not even know about those things. For example, the brand new 4-pack dish towel, just $25. 6-pack towel sets, just $25. Bed sheets for as low as $25. Check out their overstock closeout sale. Save up to 80% off select items. Looking for a good night's sleep? Take advantage of the classic collection on a variety of MyPillows for as low as $9.88. These amazing offers won't last long, so order now. Just go to mypillow.com or call 800-516-5146. Use promo code TOM.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
Channel 5's Chris Egert is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. So what's going on, Buster?
Nothing. What's up with you guys? I heard you lamenting about the Twins.
Yeah, well, I was lamenting. Also, got a call from a friend of mine last night who's very, very wealthy. He wants to know if he bought KQRS, if I'd come back there. How much do you think it's worth? We can't find out how much it's worth.
Well, how do you put a worth on a media entity, right? Because
I know.
The reach, and then you talk about the brand. What's the brand worth? That's tough to value them.
Brand, what brand?
Well, one could argue that if you were the person trying to get a better deal, right?
Yeah, very well. That's a good point.
I don't know. I'm kind of go back and forth on this Twins thing. I'm not a huge Twins. I love the Twins. I grew up listening to them and watching them during the glory days with Herbeck and Puckett and whatnot. As a fan, casual fan, all I know is what I read on Twitter and everybody complaining about the Pohlads and the payroll and but I don't know in the greater realm of the universe how much the general public cares about that stuff.
Well, that's the reason they lost, because they won't spend any money on anybody.
Right. But if Joe Schmo from Bloomington's still going to only go to 2 games a year, if he doesn't really care whether they're relevant. It's
that's
just
true.
That's what I'm saying. Like from a casual fan perspective, and I'm not defending the Pohlads. I get why everyone's hot about it. I guess I just wonder, I know all the baseball fans are pissed off, but how much the just normal families who don't go to Twins games a lot and aren't really following it beyond, you know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you're saying. There's no question. I'm mad at the world because I became a Twins fan when I was 9 years old. That was their first year in town when they moved from Washington, D.C., wasn't it? Isn't that where they were? I forget.
Is that where they were?
I think so. I think that's exactly right. But yeah, I mean, I've been a big Twins fan my whole life. And of course, winning those 2 World Series in 87 and 91, that was just unbelievable. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was 33 years ago.
What's even more sad is that's the most recent.
Yeah. Well, yes, exactly.
It's not the Lynx, It's funny.
You're right. You're absolutely right about that. I hope it does pick up. I'm just, Joe Pohlad says that Falvey and Baldelli will be back in 2025. And that's, again, I don't know that they're the problem. The problem is they won't pay money to players. They just won't.
I did think that his last quote in that Aaron Gleeman thing I don't know what the very last line was, something the other of this will be a better team next year, or, something to that effect. But then like, okay, well, you're saying that, but how you gonna make that work? Like, how's that work? Just because you want it to be that way, does it make it that way? No.
One of my favorite memories of all time, going all the way back to 35 years ago, whatever it was. I'd been on the queue for a couple of years, and they needed to sign Kirby Puckett to a new contract. Okay. And I tell you, we had some people. That's back when we were at 917 North Lilac Drive in Golden Valley.
Uh-huh.
Somebody built this huge billboard for us to put in the front yard. The title of it was Carl Cough Up the Cash. It was a big picture of Carl Pohlad with his mouth open and money coming out. He's vomiting out money the whole time.
No kidding. That's pretty controversial.
It was phenomenal.
That's funny.
Here's Carl vomiting. Cough up the cash, Carl. And he's coughing it up on the front. And by the way, another highlight, when the media came and took all the pictures and said, are you guys really being this mean? Yeah, we're the ones being mean. No question.
Right.
Sansevere went out front, got into a what are those things even called? Those remote toilets? What are they?
Oh,
like a porta potty?
Yeah, kind of a porta potty, but the enclosed one. He went out there and took a dump, apparently, while the media was there, which I don't know where that came from, but that was an interesting place to work back in the day.
Sounds like it. Sounds awesome.
Sandy's mentally ill. There's no. Oh, wait a minute! I got to talk to him in a couple minutes. What a great guy!
I want you guys to hear this, because I think it's one of the more insane things I've ever read. I am absolutely fascinated with what's been going on in the Middle East and the Israeli forces and everything that's gone down over the last 2 weeks of how they've been taking out Hezbollah, with the blowing up of the pagers to other electronics, to now the way they've been able to take out like the entire command staff at Hezbollah. I read this yesterday. Now, this is unverified, but it's from a source I follow that is usually pretty accurate information. So I put it out there with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
So this person's saying that an Israeli informant met with that Hezbollah Secretary General Nasrallah, the big guy that got killed this weekend. Listen to this. Met with him several months ago, shook his hand, where a substance containing a nano-tracker was located, which embedded itself into his skin, allowing him to be actively tracked by Israel up into his elimination at the command center in Beirut.
What?
I know. That's insane.
That's a movie script.
All of it is. Even the pagers was a remarkable thing to figure out and get in their supply chain. And so a lot of these people with the pagers, they had like the eyes missing, and extremities and crotch, and like, just think about how crippling that's been from not only physically, but just from a emotional standpoint. Like, they're just destroying them. It's crazy.
Now you said something. I want to get this all straightened out. You said extremities and crotch. Isn't that the same thing?
Well, extremity could be an arm. Extremity could be an arm, or
my hand blew up. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. It's insane. And I'm not, it's just, I can't get enough of it. From just the amount of planning that would take to pull all that stuff off, and the fact that even exists. Like, that's like James Bond shit stuff.
Well, shit too.
Well, that makes me wonder, like, what sort of crazy technology, because I don't know, no offense to Israel, but I feel like the U.S. military system, given the amount that is spent there, probably has that technology, and like football fields further past that. Like, what crazy stuff do we have that we don't know about?
Right. And so how'd they get that? Because you don't just go to Amazon and order, super small tracking device.
Well, I have.
Like right next to the pager
store. Yeah, there's it's nano powder tracking. Yeah, it's on Temu, actually.
It's 2-day shipping. I got that with my mouthwash.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Well, we'll close with this because I know you got to go, but it has been radio, it's been television, it's been movies, it's been everything else that have made us the meanest planet we have ever been. And it's not just the United States, it's everywhere. People are the meanest they have ever been.
I beg to differ.
You're right.
It's this thing.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where you listen to the radio and watch television anyway. So what's the difference?
Wow.
No, it's across the board. And I use the example. And again, I don't even know how I'm going to vote for president, so I'm not propping anybody up here. But this Bill Maher went out this long deal about this, that, and the other thing, and how offensive everything is, and then tells a fat joke about Trump. Well, what's the difference?
Right.
I mean, I'm not defending Trump. If he needs to lose some weight, then lose some weight.
I know, but like people get on their moral high ground and then they'll just take shots. And it's like, what are we, 3-year-olds? But
it's what it seemed like. Yeah, it seemed very, very unprofessional. Like I said, whatever. You want to make fat jokes, good for you. But then,
I mean, I think in defense, not to defend anybody, but I think Trump made some Kris Christie weight jokes back in the day too.
No, I agree. Don't get me wrong. There's no winner to this whole thing.
No, for sure. It's all juvenile, right? Like
it is,
right. Let's be the adults in the room. But
okay, you skinny bastard. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Eat a cheeseburger.
I put lots of calories in that baby this weekend. Right in the barrel.
Had a good weekend, did you?
Had a good weekend.
I'm glad to hear that. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, guys. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, Channel 5's Kris Egert, brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation, 952-925-5608. Who doesn't like working with that boy? Right?
I don't trust anybody that doesn't like working with Kris Egert.
I agree.
Probably just Hannah is the only one.
Yeah, but I guess that's
Hannah's the only one.
Yeah, Hannah probably can't stand him. Otherwise, everybody else gets him on like a very reserved basis.
I love how Hannah sneaks up behind him sometimes. It's marvelous. She just sneaks in on camera. Works out like a charm,
like a
right?
Cat. Yeah.
Like a cat. Okay, so once again, I've talked about this many, many times, and I'm getting a little sick of it. Yes, we do offer a very balanced show. So we have somebody like Egert on, and then we have a pain in the ass like Bob Sansevere on to even keel, right?
Yeah.
To balance it out.
Some people talk very softly on the show, and then other people, we're not going to name any names, they yell when they get on the show.
Hey, damn! We'll take a break. Be right back with Sandy right after this. When you go to a restaurant, you expect the chef to be an expert. You expect your auto mechanic to be an expert when it comes to fixing your car. You judge them both by the results of their work. Josh Arnold is an expert in investments and planning your financial future. Josh Arnold is my expert, and he should be yours too. I talk to Josh every week, and he understands the market and the economy, and he knows how to plan for your retirement. Don't put it off another day. The man with your plan is Josh Arnold. Call Josh now for a no-obligation 48-minute evaluation. You've got nothing to lose, and you'll have an expert planning and managing your financial future. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. Tom Barnard is a paid endorser.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw & Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw & Bryant.
I'm talking with my friends Michael Bilski and Brad Huckle of North American Banking Company. Guys, business owners have had to deal with a lot over the last few years, haven't they?
They sure have, Tommy. We pride ourselves on being able to help our customers with the challenges they face.
Our business bankers are experts and are always ready to help our customers capitalize on opportunities and solve problems.
Loan decisions come quickly because they're made here in the Twin Cities and not shipped out of state like at some of the national banks in town.
This allows our customers to expand their businesses with confidence, knowing that they have our team of experts in their corner.
Okay, so now you give me this big thing at the end. Way to go.
Well, you are the professional.
Oh, I forgot. Look, I know Brad and Mike, and I trust them with my banking. They've personally delivered on everything they've just said, so why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is the Tom Barnard Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Sansevere Sports brought to you by Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury lawyer seeking justice for the injured. Contact Bradshaw and Bryant at minnesotapersonalinjury.com. Sanny. I got to bring, you know how lucky you are to be working remote?
How lucky am I?
I'm out for a little, I like to get up every hour and just kind of walk around the office a little bit, just stretch the legs and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I walked by Studio A, the booth, the control booth. Chief engineer, AJ, sitting there with no shoes on. His bare feet hanging out.
That's not true.
Oh, I saw it. What do you mean that's not true? Don't you get that bullshit. I saw it.
I thought you were going to say he took his pants off.
Here.
Uh-oh. Oh, this ought to be fun.
No, I have these like slip-on shoes.
You did not have those shoes on. You're lying.
Yeah.
Stocks,
so you probably saw like the back half.
No.
And you saw the back of my feet.
Your feet were pointing straight down, so I know that's a lie. Don't try to lie to me. You're getting far too comfortable at this juncture.
Airing the dogs out. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? They don't call it Studio A for nothing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This is where it all begins, ladies and gentlemen, right here in Studio A.
So who made your clogs?
I don't know. Some European.
They look fancy.
Some European.
They were a present at one point from my grandma.
Like echoes.
Your grandmother hates you that much?
They were made in Germany. So
by whom?
Like the brand, it's Birkenstock.
Yeah. Wow.
I thought he was like needing the name of the actual guy that like cobbled the shoes. Is that
Klaus,
what they are?
I don't know.
Hans made them.
Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber. I remember Hans Gruber. No question about that. Wasn't that Hitler's name at one time or something?
Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber. I think it was.
I thought that was an actor. So
is Hans Gruber I look up Hans Gruber. I think there actually was a reference to Hans Gruber.
That's the name they gave the guy from Die Hard, right?
Hans Gruber.
That's Hans
right.
Gruber.
Yeah, Hans Gruber is a fictional character from Die Hard.
I don't think so. I think he stole it from Hitler.
Played by Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Alan Rickman. That's right. He was good in that. I thought.
Good in everything.
All right, so Sandy.
Yep.
Football, yes. Baseball, no.
Well, we'll talk football, but I got to mention this Joe Pohlad. Is he incredibly clueless?
His name has come up a few times this morning, Bob. I'll tell you that.
Well, you may have already covered this ground, but Falvey and Rock will be back. How about if you're gone and that family of yours, you're the reason this team went in the tank because you cut the payroll and you refused to authorize money to go out and get somebody at the trade deadline. This is solely on the Pohlads.
And he just keeps talking about how you have to understand, I've got to run a business. You were handed a multi-billion-dollar business. Don't give me okay, Mr. Wizard.
You know what? There's other teams that are running businesses too and not running them into the ground.
Exactly.
And that's what his family's done. They won those World Series in spite of the penny pinching Carl Pohlad.
Yeah, it's very, very true. No question about it. I mean, think of all the other businesses you could be in, Paul. You could own like a parachute business, but then Joe would, of course, pull the pillow part of it out, so you just plummet to the ground. Well, we company's got to make money. If we can't afford the chute part of the parachute.
What is Jim is the banking guy, right? What is Bob? Because he's Bob's son, Bob Pohlad's kid. What does Bob do? Or is he the banker too?
I used to get along with Bob really, really well until I criticized his father, and then we haven't gotten along ever since.
Well,
but what are you going to do?
Criticize his kid, you get both ends. The
Yeah, you
dad
get both. You get both. I wonder why Bob never ran the business. Bob was a pretty smart guy.
But what is it that what part of the, because the other brother, Bill, is the one who's the movie
maker.
Yeah. According to the Twins website, Jim is the chairman, and then Bill, Bob, and Joe are all just listed as board members.
No, but I meant, what did Joe do in the Pohlad empire?
Oh, I got you.
Because I don't remember. Jim was the banker, right? Jim appeared to be the brains of that operation of the kids.
Oh, you mean Bob? I actually sat in the bleachers one year with Bob and his son. I think his son's name was Thomas, if I remember right. Yeah, we got along just fine until I criticized the family, and then not so well after that.
Well,
yeah, my brothers never get criticized. Don't get me wrong. That never happened.
You can't fault the guy for being loyal to his old man.
Oh, settle down. I'm not loyal to my old man. Piss on him.
Well, okay.
He didn't leave me $4 billion, though. That's true.
Yeah, you'd be very loyal to that.
That's true. You're absolutely right about that.
All right, so let me ask you this about the Viking game. Were any of you upset about how it came down to the end after they had a 28-0 lead?
Yeah.
That actually is a good thing. Do you know why?
Why?
Because when that happens to a good team, fans tend to get critical. I mean, if they had when your team is good and they have a game like that, you're going to criticize all the things that went wrong. If they were bad and that happened, oh God, look, they hung on. That was great. But now the expectation has been heightened for the Vikings to do well. This is part of their evolution as a team. For people to be upset when they win.
I hope you're right, Bob. I really do, because
you could go within and criticize the hell out of some of the moves they made.
Well, my God, the last month of that season was dreadful. They were horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
But
Falvey and Baldelli are both coming back next year. So there you go.
Oh, I was on the Vikings. You're still talking Twins.
They're all mixing together.
All right. Well, speaking of owners, I don't know if any of you guys saw the team likes to put out Kevin O'Connell's post game locker speeches.
Yep.
He gives out the game balls, and there was one where Byron Murphy, he had a fumble recovery, he had that interception late to kind of seal the game. He goes to throw him a game ball, but as he kind of turns and goes no look halfway through, just barely misses Ziggy Wilf, who kind of was walking out of the way, just almost hits him. It wasn't a hard toss or anything, but Kevin O'Connell turns back to the camera and does this that was close.
Well, he should say, Ziggy, you get a game ball if you'd extend my contract.
Right. Right. Add a couple zeros to that paycheck, and you'll get a game ball as well.
I understand he's a little pissy because they haven't given him an extension yet. So
yeah, well, I think him and Quasey are all
neither one of them has. But you know what? After last year, they need to prove themselves, and it appears that they're going down that road. But we'll see how 4-0 is a great start. There's only 2 4-0 teams right now, and a third could be tonight if Seattle beats Detroit, which would be, if you're a Viking fan, you're pulling for Seattle because that gives them a 2-game lead in the NFC North.
Right.
But Kansas City, which has got issues, is the only other 4-0 team. But that team, they lose their best receiver, Rashee Rice. Looks like he could be done for the year with an ACL. Anyway, the Vikings got back Jordan Addison. The only thing, when they get Hockenson back, that's going to be interesting to see just what that offense does.
Right.
And Aaron Jones is the best acquisition they've made in a long time because he's a leader and he can produce. And I also think his presence is why they didn't kick the field goal, which they should have kicked the field goal late.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not, and then they needed 2 touchdowns to win, not just a touchdown and a field goal. So anyway, my thought on that.
Yeah, it all works out. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What's Ziggy's younger brother's name again?
Mark, I think.
Yep. Mark.
Is it Mark Wilf?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I asked you that question, I'm at the Breakers Hotel in Palm Beach about 3-4 years ago. I'm standing there talking to a guy, having a good time and all the rest of it. And he's wearing a Viking hat and a Viking T-shirt. And I'm talking to him. I'd met him a couple other times, and nice guy. Here comes my lovely wife, Catherine. She walks up. She looks at me and goes, "You got a reservation?" I said, "Yeah, we'll be in good. We'll have a little lunch in a second here." She looks at the guy standing next to me and goes, "What are you wearing that for? That team sucks." I said, "He's the owner." It wasn't Ziggy, but it was his brother. He's wearing a Viking hat and a Viking T-shirt, and Catherine just blasts the team. That team sucked.
I mean, I got along okay with Ziggy. I like Mark, but Mark is very reserved.
Oh, very reserved.
For years to do like a big feature on him like that. I used to do this Bob Sansevere, or Mark Wilf Talks, Bob Sansevere Listens thing. I did it with Ziggy, but Mark, he just does not want to be in the spotlight.
No, he doesn't.
And Ziggy doesn't either. So Ziggy shoves him up on stage to do a lot of the talking, but neither one of them wants to be, in the forefront.
Well, throw a few mil my way. I'll be their spokesperson. No problem. Yeah, sorry about that. Team sucked today. Talk to you next week.
Is this the look that Catherine gave you after she found out that it was Mark?
Ooh. Hey, there's the same look. Yeah. Why did he do that look again? You were telling us.
So behind him there, Cam Bynum is catching the ball, but you can see kind of right off to the side on the very right in the blue suit there is Ziggy Wolf, but Wilf, excuse me. But he went to toss it and just barely missed him. It would have been right in the gut for Ziggy. So he kind of turned around to
Ziggy, get away from the players. This is not for you. This is for the team.
Yeah, it's for the team. Get out of there. What the hell are you doing? God, that's so wonderful. That is magnificent. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. And Bob, with if we could switch gears to the dysfunctional Timberwolves. So they traded maybe Karl Anthony Towns, but it's not official, and he's still on the roster. So, what do you have any insight?
The NBA, okay, just go back to the NBA draft. When they make a trade and they don't announce it, the trade is done, but the NBA is weird when it comes to trades and when it comes to drafting and how they do these things. It's not like they trade the pick. Somebody picks a player, then they trade the player later. So it's just the NBA and the way it does things. And I got criticized because I've never been a big Karl Anthony Towns fan, and I don't think he accepted the fact that he's a complimentary player to Anthony Edwards. He still felt he was a star, he needed to get over that, and he didn't. But there's a lot of Karl Anthony Towns sycophants out there who are in uproar about this. I think it makes them a better team, and that's what it's about. It's not because you like somebody and you want to keep them around. You have to make that next step, and this is an attempt to make that next step. So I think it was a good move for him. Or has
absolutely. And I think the rumors were that we would potentially have had to gotten rid of Naz Reid and I think Jaden McDaniel in order to keep Towns.
For money, I mean, for the money you're paying him. And Naz Reid, by the way, he's going to have a bigger role on this team. He should. He's a terrific player. Yeah, I think this is a good move. It's going to work out fine. And you needed the other guy, DiLorenzo, because he can shoot.
Oh yeah, DiVincenzo,
DiLorenzo. They're all the same.
He's like your cousin, for Christ's sake. How do you not know that?
DiLorenzo. It's very close.
Well, there's another famous athlete who's DiLorenzo too. I think like a F1 driver. So maybe you're mixing them up.
I wasn't mixing them up. They were all the D's. He's an eye tie. That's all I care about. The guy's an eye tie.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's all that matters there. And then you Viking, any of you guys going overseas? I know you're not.
Yeah, I'm packing my bags right now, Bob.
Are you?
Oh, is this week the overseas game?
Yeah.
They're playing the Jets, who get on a jet. Isn't that something?
Were they in Brazil or something, or where the hell are they going?
They're going into London.
Oh, they're going to London. Okay. Didn't they go to? Somebody went to Brazil, didn't they?
Yeah, Packers and the Eagles, week 1, were in Brazil.
Brazil.
That was the one where they're told don't leave the hotel.
Yeah, you got that right.
And don't wear green.
Yeah,
wearing both of them, primary color green.
Packers and Eagles never been seen in green before.
No, never.
Hey, what?
Question about it.
London is a tinderbox. I don't know if I'd leave the hotel there.
I know. There's not. Bob, I commented on Facebook this morning about I have never seen the world angrier than it is. Right, there is not a safe place to go on earth anymore. Everybody hates everybody.
No, and I heard you were talking about the pagers. Didn't they the next day they went to walkie-talkies and those blew up on them too?
And those blew up on them too. Yep, no question about it.
It's ingenious what they've done. The Israelis.
I understand. There's no question about it. Is there anywhere you can go where they're not at? People are telling me don't even go to Switzerland right now, that everybody's pissed off in Switzerland They've been staying out of it forever.
What? Their army's finally taking a stance.
That's what it is.
You know, we've been sitting on our ass since WW1. Let's get involved.
Switzerland is one gorgeous country, man. I'll tell you, Catherine, I've only been there once, but my God, is it beautiful there. Lake Luzerne. Oh, it's like Lake Minnetonka, only in the mountains.
You know where you never hear any strife, and maybe there is. Do you ever hear anything coming out of Greenland and Iceland?
No. And I love the fact they named it Greenland because it's icy and Iceland because it was green.
Yeah, Iceland's supposed to be gorgeous.
That's what I hear. Catherine's been there. I've been working. Catherine's been everywhere. That's all I know.
Greenland's the crap hole. I'm trying to draw you in with that.
I'm walking out of the place today, and Catherine opens the door as I'm leaving and says, "Oh, by the way, I'll see you at whatever time, blah, blah, blah." So I walk back. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I thought I'd come back and get a kiss." "You're not kissing me. My breath is terrible." She turns around.
Wait, yours is or hers is?
No, hers. Oh, yeah, thanks, Bob. Hers. She had just.
Oh, okay. It's better to take the hit for her and say, "Yeah, it was mine," instead of saying my wife has bad breath.
I didn't get a kiss. I'm stabbing her right in the back. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
That's all I have to say to you. All right, Sandy, have a magnificent day, and we'll talk to you later in a week.
As always, I live for that.
Thanks, Pally.
See ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Sansevere Sports brought to you by Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury lawyers seeking justice for the injured. Contact Bradshaw and Bryant at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. Be right back. Check a couple of stories. About 10 minutes from now, we got Kristyn Burtt coming up. What could be better is all I know.
When you go to a restaurant, you expect the chef to be an expert. You expect your auto mechanic to be an expert when it comes to fixing your car. You judge them both by the results of their work. Josh Arnold is an expert in investments and planning your financial future. Josh Arnold is my expert, and he should be yours too. I talk to Josh every week, and he understands the market and the economy, and he knows how to plan for your retirement. Don't put it off another day. The man with your plan is Josh Arnold. Call Josh now for a no-obligation 48-minute evaluation. You've got nothing to lose, and you'll have an expert planning and managing your financial future. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice. Tom Barnard is a paid endorser.
The past several years have been the craziest in the history of the car business. The pandemic, supply chain and ship issues, all causing extreme inventory shortages that led to, well, predatory pricing. Some dealers charge thousands of dollars over MSRP.
We never played that game. I'm Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC. We knew that would leave a bad taste in a customer's mouth. More importantly, from an integrity standpoint, it was just wrong.
So what about the current market? You know, inventory and pricing.
Valley has their best inventory in years. Really all the Buick and GMC models. Even the previously hard-to-find Yukons, HD pickups, and Hummer EVs. Plenty of deep discounts. Many with factory rebates and low-interest financing.
Then it's a good time to buy?
It's a great time. We're welcoming our previous customers back, as well as anyone else that felt the treatment just didn't feel right the last time somewhere else.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Car buying without the bad aftertaste.
I'm talking with my friends Michael Bilski and Brad Huckle of North American Banking Company. Guys, business owners have had to deal with a lot over the last few years, haven't they?
They sure have, Tommy. We pride ourselves on being able to help our customers with the challenges they face.
Our business bankers are experts and are always ready to help our customers capitalize on opportunities and solve problems.
Loan decisions come quickly because they're made here in the Twin Cities and not shipped out of state like at some of the national banks in town.
This allows our customers to expand their businesses with confidence, knowing that they have our team of experts in their corner.
Okay, so now you give me this big thing at the end. Way to go.
Well, you are the professional.
Oh, I forgot. Look, I know Brad and Mike, and I trust them with my banking. They've personally delivered on everything they've just said, so why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, a little news and information. This is not the kind of news I like to report, but it's a very important story. A man who was seriously hurt after falling 50 feet down a rock wall over the weekend at the Renaissance Festival South. Shakopee not doing well. The victim, a 24-year-old from Grand Marais, Minnesota, allegedly went around a fence to climb a wall in the Kingsgate area, then fell and landed in a bus pickup area below, said Scott County Sheriff Luke Hennon. First responders who arrived at about 7:20 p.m. on Saturday found the man alert but suffering serious injuries. The man was airlifted to Hennepin County Medical Center for a head injury with apparent leg and wrist fractures. Scott County authorities continue to investigate the incident, but alcohol is believed to have been a factor, Hennon said. I hope the guy makes it, man. You fell 5 stories on a rock wall. You hit a few things on the way down, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I'd be curious to know, like, who he was there with, like, were his friends, like, oh, I bet you can't climb that wall type of thing, or why, kind of like what led up to him going up there, but very sad.
It's just a sad story. The guy's only, 24 years old. He's got wrist injuries. He's got leg injuries. He's got ankle injuries. He's got, oh, my God. I hope he's going to be okay. That's all I'm saying. Falling 50 feet, 5 stories down a rock wall. But, Minneapolis symbols of 2020 civil unrest still in development. After 4 years, you're still in development about unrest?
I guess I'm not sure what the symbols are, but I would assume there's probably like a grace period of, do we want to make these? Okay. Now what do we want them to be? Okay. Now the same thing we experienced with the flag, where there's different the phases of designs and approvals and stuff like that.
I mean, like that beautiful Minnesota State flag now?
Yeah.
What a piece of dirt that thing is. Good God.
It's grown on me personally.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't think I've seen it other than like once or twice driving by like the Capitol. It's not like you
don't see it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them flying around that I've noticed.
Well, this piece of art is George. It's a painting of George Floyd, is what it is. Mm-hmm. But George doesn't look too happy in the painting. I will tell you that. He's not looking like he's in a great mood. But yeah, civil unrest, but that was 4 years ago. I mean, there's always going to be civil unrest, right?
Yeah, well, I wonder if they're trying to decide what to do with like all the murals that have been painted up, and if people are like, well, we want to take this down, or we bought this building, or like the George Floyd Square area. It seems like some people are like, well, we would like to be able to drive through this intersection again, and others are like, nah, we got to keep it all up. So it's very divisive.
Okay, I don't understand what this means, but we're going to find out together.
Okay.
Using the torched shell of the former 3rd Precinct police station as a backdrop, Republican U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson parachuted into Minneapolis last month to taunt Governor Walz. Well, how do you taunt Governor Walz by parachuting into a site?
Does he hate paratroopers? He's like, what?
Here's my thing. There's a lot of adjectives. And like the torch shell and stuff. Did he actually parachute? Like,
well, yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
That's my question. I feel like I would have seen this. Also,
what
did he do to taunt?
Yeah, as you can see from the charred and barricaded building right behind us here, 4 years later, this community still has not recovered. Johnson said the derelict building at 3000 Minnehaha Avenue remains an eyesore, a painful reminder of the murder of George Floyd by a 3rd Precinct police officer, and a periodic pilgrimage site for conservative pundits in need of a convenient prop for bashing cities. See, that's why you knew they were going to go after the guy. Look, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but you can always tell who's going to go after who in these stories. You're not one of us. Like, blow it out your ass. It's a political party. It's not that big a deal, right?
Right.
Whatever. The city of Minneapolis has been embroiled in years of agonizing negotiations with deeply divided residents over the future of the building and what to do about other sites related to Floyd's murder. The conversations have played out at long evening meetings where neighbors have clashed and city staff of color have absorbed the brunt of hard feelings. What?
Yeah, and
I think black people are getting pummeled by speech.
I mean, I guess so. But I'm also not sure like how there's a debate over what to do with the buildings. Like last I checked, somebody owns the building, and then it got burned down. If I own the building, I'm gonna put whatever I want back there if I'm gonna rebuild it, or if I sell it. Like I don't care if the neighbor doesn't like that. Well, this is going to be a Cub Foods now, or this is going to be whatever restaurant.
Oh, they changed. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I don't get why. Like there shouldn't even really be a discussion. You just let us know what you're going to build there, and we'll keep pushing.
They changed the name of Cup Foods. Did you see that? Because it was called Cup Foods when this all started.
Yeah.
What's the name of it now?
I do not know.
Unity Foods. Ah.
Yeah, let's unite at the cash register.
Let's although when I first glanced at it, because there's a line going through the word foods, it looked like it said Unity boobs. Say what?
Those also can bring people together.
They'll bring people together.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about that. No question about it. Yeah. Meanwhile, life is moving forward in South Minneapolis. People are fighting to keep businesses afloat in the historical Black cultural corridor of 38th Street, trying to catch. Well, that's like almost a mile away. Is that where that street? Because they got the street blocked off for about 8 blocks, don't they? I think.
Yeah, it's like I think it's 36th is the George Floyd Square, so it's like 2 blocks away or whatever, 2 blocks down.
Oh, I thought George Floyd Square. Oh yeah. Oh, I know where you're talking about. Yeah, the square now, not where it actually happened.
No, that's where it actually happened.
Oh, it was on 36.
Yeah, it's
36th. It was on Lake Street for some reason.
Like Chicago.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Alexander Cato, a Minneapolis senior project manager in charge of George Floyd Square and the former precinct building. So that's because that is on Lake Street, isn't it?
Yeah, the precinct is on Lake Street, where like the Target, Cub Foods,
right?
Yeah, that little area by the.
That's because no other city understands what Minneapolis has been through. Are you kidding me? Have you ever been in Birmingham, Alabama? After 70 years, it still stands there empty. I mean, that whole, I can't remember what street it is again. But yeah, those businesses are still closed. Cities go through this.
Yeah, or the LA riots.
LA riots, yeah, there you go. George Floyd was not killed in any of those locations, and so the complexity and sensitivity and the emotional component of the building, any type of memorial in a place where that tragedy happened is completely different. A lot had to go into it during doing a way that's right, that community supports, and that's why it's taken the time it's taken. So 4 or 5 years it's taken. Hey, whatever you need to do, you need to do. I understand you want to honor the man who died in this whole situation. Look, it's none of my business, first of all, but you do what you got to do, right? You want to honor the guy, then you should honor the guy.
Yeah, I'll see why not.
I want to honor Kristyn Burtt, but you guys are totally against it, so I don't get to do it. Why don't I get to honor Kristyn Burtt just because you two don't want to do it?
You know what? I'm taking away I was opposed to it. I'm rescinding my opposition.
Oh, you are? Okay.
So now I'm all for it.
I was just going to say, I'll allow it. Just this once, though.
Just this one. Just this one time. Kristyn Burtt is up next, right after this. Mike Lindell and MyPillow employees want to thank all our listeners for all your continued support. When Mike started MyPillow, it was just a problem solution, one product company. Well, since then, they now have hundreds of products, some of you may not even know about. For example, the brand new 4-pack dish towel sets, just $25. 6-pack towel sets, just $25. Bed sheets for as low as $25. Check out their overstock and closeout sale and save up to 80% off select items. You're looking for a good night's sleep? Take advantage of the classic collection on a variety of MyPillows for as low as $9.88. These amazing offers won't last long, so order now. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-516-5146 and use promo code TOM.
When you need someone to listen, a lawyer you know and trust.
If you've never been in an auto accident, it's hard to know what to expect from the insurance adjuster. Here are some tips. 1, if they talk to you about whether or not you should hire a lawyer, it's a good sign that you probably should. 2, it's illegal for them to give you any legal advice. They aren't lawyers and they aren't licensed to practice law. 3, if they tell you that everyone involved in the accident is at fault, they're wrong. This comes from the belief that you're at fault for just being on the road. That's nonsense and not supported by any law. Finally, remember that friendly adjusters are often just gaining information. They want you to do most of the talking so they can file their report. I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw & Bryant. I hope you're never injured in a collision. But if you are, don't sign anything until you've talked to us.
Find Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
I hosted my show on the radio for 40 years. Now I host the Tom Barnard Podcast. And I'll tell you, I've never seen the passion and engagement from our audience as I do now. I know we also have businesses that listen to our podcast, and it got me thinking, wouldn't it be great to help those businesses grow by telling my listeners about them? So here's the deal. If you own or handle marketing for a business, would like to have my audience buy your product or service, visit TomBarnardShow.com, keyword partner, and we'll put together an ad campaign to help your business. That's TomBarnardShow.com, keyword partner, and thank you for listening.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
There she is, ladies and gentlemen. The cause of all the strife on this show. No question. Kristyn Burtt, Entertainment News, brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. What's up?
My goodness, it was a busy weekend.
How was it busy?
How was it busy? We had a lot of celebrity deaths over the weekend.
Oh, we did? I know Kris Kristopherson died.
Kris Kristopherson died. John Ashton from Beverly Hills Cop, and he was just in the most recent one on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
And we also lost Drake Hogestyn from Days of Our Lives, who has been there for decades. And, you know, John and Marlena is a big part of Days of Our Lives. They were like a super couple back in the 80s and 90s, but he worked up until about 4 or 5 months ago and unfortunately died from pancreatic cancer.
Okay, you can't say that word unless you say it properly, like Fred Sanford.
You can say it.
Lamont, let's watch Days of Our Lives. It was a Days of Our Lives.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was wonderful.
Yes. And that's a legacy show.
Maggie
I'm
Smith
sorry.
was Friday, I think.
Was Maggie Smith on Friday too? That she died?
I want to say she was Thursday.
Maybe it was Thursday.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was Thursday. But yeah, we've had a lot, like all kind of in a row here. It always seems to come in waves for some reason.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what. Is it the time of the year? Do you think that the end of summer is here and therefore it's like, you know, maybe at the end of
celebrities just quit?
I just don't want to make it through another winter.
Well, it might be. You never know.
The temperature drops below 50 and they're like, all right.
They're
I'm
like,
done.
I can't handle another raindrop. I mean, like what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who needs it? I have to put up with you pains in the ass and rain? No, I'm not doing it.
No, I will say I knew Drake very well. I interviewed him multiple times over a decade. A lovely man. And I just know that that cast is really going to miss him. There's quite a few Days of Our Lives events coming up in the next few weeks. And I just think it's going to be really sad.
You know what I really hate? And then you brought it up, you guys trying to ruin my life because it was just this weekend. I found out I lost 3 friends I didn't even know. And one of them died like 3 years ago, for Christ's sake. Don Zimmerman, the COO of Capitol Records when I worked there. What a great guy that man was. He was just a great, great person. We'd have our convention every year in Palm Springs, and he and I would sit there and have dinner. I had dinner with him every night. Every year we went, had dinner. He and I would just have dinner together while everybody was sitting. I don't know why. He liked having dinner with me. And I loved having dinner with him.
Best place to have a company meeting or wherever, because Palm Springs is amazing. It should be on everybody's bucket list. You have to go there once.
Got to tell you, though, you're talking about record people, right? The record business.
Mm-hmm.
We get called into the office. Not the office, excuse me, into the vestibule or whatever the hell the lobby. That's what I'm gonna say. We called into the lobby, and they said, "Boys, we have a problem. Somebody was standing at the top of that staircase right there, and that somebody may have been involved in the record business. We're not going to tell you with who, but the record business. And he apparently dropped a bag." And as it fell down the stairs, it broke open and it was full of cocaine. And we're like, what? Now, I did cocaine once in my life and it did nothing for me. And I went, that's boring, whatever. So it probably wasn't even real cocaine or was cut or something. But I will never forget the next day I went out. I left the hotel right at sunrise. And I went around the hotel to get to the walking track that I used. All the way around the hotel, there were bags sitting beneath the windows of every room in that hotel. Gee, I wonder what was in those bags.
The silver tray of Coke coming into the room.
That's exactly right. I will never forget that. There were little bags everywhere around the outside of that hotel.
Yeah, I went to one party. A date took me to a party and I couldn't find him and I was looking for him. And there he was in the back bedroom with the literal silver tray of Coke, like the mound of Coke. And I was like, oh, this is where we're going. And I called my friend and had her pick me up because I was like, I am not getting back into his car after he's been like snorting Coke all night.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he was quite a
world.
Yeah, I was done with him. I was like, I'm good. But I was, and you know, it's so funny too, because it was the early aughts and I wanted to be like, what is it? Like 1976? Are we at Studio 54? Because, you know, I was like, people are still doing Coke. Like, really? But I was like, it's good to know that that silver tray of that mound of Coke still exists. Like I saw it once in my life. It really does happen.
Yeah, no question about it. We followed your lead and watched It's Your Fault. We watched episode 2 of Monsters. Oh my God, those guys are the most hateable human beings on the face of the earth.
Yeah, Netflix is leaning hard into the Menendez brothers. They have a documentary coming later on this week to sort of accompany Monsters. So if you are not getting enough of the scripted story, you can go back and look at some of the footage.
How bad do you have to be to not only shoot your father, but your mother in the face trying to kill her?
Tom, I think you're obsessed with the shooting in the face.
I am, because I've seen it happen.
Like we talked about it like every day.
Well, it drives me nuts because that's the ultimate insult, is to shoot someone in the face.
Is it haunting your dreams?
It does haunt my dreams.
That's the ultimate insult.
Let me just point something out to you candy asses. We'll go over to Plymouth Avenue and we'll live over there for a couple of years to see if you have any nightmares living over in that psycho palace.
Well, I think what it means, and as someone who has probably watched too much true crime in her life, usually if it is something like to the face or like multiple stabbings, like, you know, oh, she was stabbed 86 times, that type of thing. Those are like considered like crimes of passion. They are considered very personal versus like, I broke into your house, I shot you once, I stole your watch and out I went. You know what I mean? Like just very different motives for those situations.
Just one more quick mention. The hell that I went through that you guys think is funny somehow. My buddy Fred was so upset as a kid. He opened up his garage door, backed the car out, left it running in the driveway, kept the garage door up, put the car in gear, ran into the garage so the car came down the driveway into the garage and killed him. Now, that takes some planning to get that done.
Yeah, that's very elaborate.
That's a very elaborate way to commit suicide.
Really sad.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You guys making fun of me about all these horrible memories I have.
I know, but that's just, what are you trying to add trauma to us? Because we traumatized
because you guys made fun of my trauma, and I'm never talking to you again, any of you.
No, I'm just saying I think you're obsessed with like Kitty being shot in the face.
I am.
But it's not funny that Kitty Menendez was shot in the face.
Well, I'm not saying it's funny. I
know, but I'm laughing. I'm laughing out of my own trauma now.
You're a disaster.
You're a disaster.
That's just kind of a given, though. There's no doubt about it. No question about it. All right, moving on from death and shot in the face.
Yes, let's talk about the Today Show, because I think this is really interesting. There was a big story last week. Hoda Kotb is leaving the show.
We knew it.
She's saying, I'm retiring. I want to spend time with my girls. She's got 2 young daughters. Well, Puck News, which is really, Puck News they always have some really good inside scoops. And they're one of the trade papers out here in Los Angeles. They revealed that Hoda, it was time for her contract to be renegotiated, was asked for a major pay cut. And she had been thinking, they said, you know, legitimately, she had been considering retiring after her 50th birthday, 60th kind of like felt like the milestone, and that, you know, her family, her young family really came into consideration here. But it's a sign of the times that this is the great reset when it comes to those inflated news personality salaries, and that they're all going to come down. And if everyone wants to continue to work on the Today Show or Good Morning America or wherever else, you're going to have to take a major pay cut. And I think for Hoda, it was just enough to be like, you know what? I'm going to spend time with my girls. I don't want to do the same amount of work for less pay. Good for her. And you know, she's, you know, going off to the suburbs. But we're going to probably see a lot of the other morning news personalities have to take that pay cut. And the number that they tossed around for Good Morning America for like Robin Roberts and Michael Strahan, it was something like, for all of them collectively, George Stephanopoulos, like $75 million it's costing GMA per year.
For those stiffs?
75 million.
Yeah.
So you're going, and the payoff is not there anymore in terms of audience, in terms of advertising dollars. So those numbers, and if they don't want to take the pay cut, which they have every right not to want to take the pay cut, you're going to see younger talent rise up because obviously they will be more affordable than $20 million a year like Hoda was getting.
That's interesting because just 2 weeks ago I heard, and I can't remember who the woman is, but she was negotiating to stay on one of the networks and all the rest of it. And they said, there is no way we can pay you more than $2 million a year. And her argument was, I can't live on $2 million a year in New York City.
I wouldn't doubt that in terms of, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to agree with her in terms of her job because especially when you're a female in broadcasting, and men don't have to think about this as much, but there's upkeep in terms of like hair, makeup, and even if they cover it while you're on set, there's top set that you have to cover. You can't
$2 million,
$2 million of hair.
Like I get it.
No. In New York City, wardrobe, Botox, facials. I am telling you, and we're talking about New York City prices. We're not talking about Minneapolis or even Los Angeles prices for this.
If you're getting paid $2 million, you can buy a plane ticket to like Virginia to go get this done.
Wait. And your rent. Now you've added your rent into that.
Rent, I'll give you rent, but you
don't
have to stay in a palatial. You can rough it a little bit if you need to.
Not how it is.
But you can't, if you're a major face of a network, you cannot be living with 6 people in a studio apartment like I did, when I was 20. There is, unfortunately, the higher you rise up, and maybe Tom, you can sort of like explain this, like you just can't be like walking out like, okay.
I think she just needs to be better at budgeting. Because let's say it's $100,000. Let's say it's $100,000 for rent.
Kevin,
you can't tell me $1
million
plus $1.5 million.
$1 million in Manhattan now is probably about like making about $250,000.
Maybe that much. And I don't even think it's that.
I don't even think so either.
I would murder somebody if I could make $250,000 a year.
Because but here's the thing: we're coming from here. Do you know what I mean? If we were all, I'm talking about Tevin, me, and AJ. Okay, if the 3 of us were given a $2 million contract and you had to move to Manhattan, we could make that work very easily.
Yep.
If you're already on the air.
Yep.
Tom, I think you can understand. Like all of a sudden, maybe you're making $3 million. They're asking you to go down to $2 million, or maybe you're scraping by at like $1.5 million. And I know that sounds crazy in Manhattan, but
okay,
you
so
need that $500,000.
If she was already getting paid and took a pay cut, then that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yes, but if you just gave somebody $2 million for the first time and said you get to go live in New York,
the more money you make, the more your expenses go up, because there are things for your image when you're in an image business that start to require that of you. And it's worse for women than it is for men. I will be very honest about that. And on top of it, if she owns real estate too, she's got HOA fees that are probably $10,000 a month on top of her mortgage.
Yep.
And I'm not, listen, I would love to make $2 million a year. I get that. But I'm also saying if this has been in and around her salary, that's probably on the low end.
Well, she said there's no way she could live on it. So she'd just have to retire because there's no way she could live on $2 million a year in New York City.
Oh, I want to know who this was, because if it's someone that's been in the broadcast industry forever, that's also understandable.
It is I know it's a very famous person, but I can't remember what her name was. That story's got to be out there. The fact that they're trying to bring her back for $2 million, and she said it's not enough because I couldn't live on that. Well, one of the reasons I moved back here from New York City, because Kath and I were living on 20th Street and 2nd Avenue, New York City, and we found out we were going to have a baby, Andy. So that was almost 40 years ago now. But we literally could not have raised a baby in that area for the amount of money I was making, and it was,
it's totally legit. And because after I've lived in Manhattan, and if you want to send your kid to private school too, you're looking at now $75,000 for 1 year for private school.
Yep.
I know it sounds absurd, but I think with Manhattan, and in a forward, like a facing business that she has,
Mm-hmm.
2 million is probably pushing it for her level if she's on a national broadcast.
Yep, and she is. She's definitely. You guys find anything?
No, but all I can think of is ways for this lady to save money and still survive on the pennies that is $2 million. Like, get your makeup from, you know,
Kevin, I want you to go and move to Manhattan.
Walgreens, order everything off of Amazon. Unless Amazon is more expensive in New York, you get all of it delivered. Like, learn to do your own makeup a
Kevin,
little bit.
I want you to go. Can we go and send Tevin?
Somebody give me $2 million and I'll
live?
show you.
No, I want you to go on your own salary and go live in Manhattan and tell me.
Your quality of life is going to go down. Yes, because it is more expensive. Like, I understand that. But like, just because you're rich doesn't mean you have to pay, you know, $10,000 for something that an average person also gets for much less than that. Like,
as someone who's lived in, I'm going to argue this though, because as someone who's lived in both cities, I live like a millionaire in Los Angeles compared to my life in Manhattan. So if she's living in Manhattan, everything is 40% marked up compared to even just Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is a super expensive city. You know, and so I'm just saying, like, it's all relative to where we're at and where we are living right now, because none of us are living in Manhattan right now.
Maybe I'm just unaware, but like Manhattan, is it really that like luxurious? Like, I thought it was just like
what used to be.
Like, I don't know. You're saying I figured Los Angeles would be more so in the sense of like everything is higher price because it's LA, it's the glitz and the glamour. Manhattan's just like, you know, it's New York. Where like it's weird to me that all that stuff is marked up as much as you're saying it is.
It's so, and just in terms of housing alone, if you want to buy a condo, and let's say it's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath condo, you're already in the $1 million range now.
We are. Oh God, yes.
$1 million, upwards of that, of course. If you're getting into 2 bedroom, because maybe it's you and a spouse or you have a kid, now you're into 3, 4 million. And the amount of space, like just space is at a premium. This is no joke. My primary bathroom in my condo is larger than the studio I lived in on Christopher Street. And I do have a large primary bathroom. It has like a separate tub, shower stall, 2 vanities, and then a separate water closet. So I'm including all of that. But my studio that I lived in for many, many, many years was smaller than that. And I paid over $1,000 for it. Now it probably goes for $5,000 because I've been gone long enough. And it's just one of those situations that no closet space. I didn't have a dishwasher. I didn't have a balcony. I didn't have a washer and dryer. I literally had a little tiny alcove for my bed. And then I had a place for a tiny little 2-seater couch and like a little tiny TV stand. And then it was the bathroom and the kitchen. It was a kitchenette. It wasn't even a kitchen. It was like a little half fridge and a tiny little like half stove and a sink.
This tells me we just need to really tackle this housing crisis.
We really do.
The housing crisis. Yeah. I mean, like Manhattan's always had a housing crisis, but I think like legit housing crisis is happening elsewhere. So, but Manhattan it's an experience. It's an experience I think you do young. And unless you're making, honestly, and I've said this, I'm like, I probably wouldn't move back to Manhattan unless I was making at least $2 million was my number, 2.5.
But apparently that's not enough anymore. So we're going to have to push that up.
But I'm not on national news.
$15 million.
Kevin, I'm not on national news. I could make it work because I'm also the girl that like would be fine with my $5 Chinese food lunch. I don't need to be at, you know, the swankiest. I don't need to be at Balthazar for lunch to see and be seen, you know?
All right, we'll close this with this. You may have heard my phone ringing just now. That was a few different people calling me saying, why don't you tell them how much your rent was on your apartment in New York City 39 years ago?
What was it?
$4,000 a month. Oh, yeah. And that was 39. So that place now is what, 15 grand a month?
Easy. I mean, I would probably say 20 to 25 probably. How many bedrooms did you have at that time?
2. We had 2 bedrooms, and we had but we had a balcony up on the 20th floor. It was really
and you were in a nice neighborhood, but you weren't on the Upper West Side. You weren't in Central Park, which are the.
What are you laughing about?
I would be shot on site if I stepped foot in that premises. Like they're like, "You're too poor." Bang.
No. This was not a high tone joint. This was.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure his place was nice for Manhattan because he had space versus, I was I was paying for my neighborhood, which was, fun, but I had a really tiny kind of old place. Yeah. And I'm saying for Tom, like, it's amazing that he had a place for $4,000, but I'm like, again, he was not in Soho, or he wasn't at Central Park, or he wasn't in the Upper West Side, which are like the, the desired neighborhood. So and I think, like, unless you lived in Manhattan, it's so, like, $2 million seems ridiculous to be like, that's not enough money, but it's not enough money in 2024.
There's no question about that. Because once again, if that place now is 20 grand a month, you have to make 400 grand a year just to pay your rent when you include the taxes on the income. 400 grand just to pay the rent.
Right.
So let's think it over, shall we? All right. Now you don't have to do tomorrow's show because we already did the whole show for tomorrow. What do you What?
All the I love disagreeing because it's so fun. I'm like, I'm gonna knock you down on this one. But I honestly, I think 2 million in Los Angeles, 2 million in Minneapolis. I think we'd all be doing okay, honestly.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All right, we're gonna go drink away our misery. That's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be Pepsi, but All right.
My protein drink.
There you go. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, guys.
Kristyn Burtt Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Boy, you get her started on that income thing, man.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
I'm still also not buying you.
No, that's $1.6 million to live the rest of your life. I think you could make it work.
If you are if you're on national TV every single day, you don't have to be at Balthazar or whatever this place is to like
Balthazar. What the hell is it?
Well, she just said you have to go to some fancy schmancy restaurant to be seen, and no, you don't.
No, we're just talking about paying rent. We're not talking about that.
Like, you can go get your $5, $10 Chinese takeout and have that for dinner. You don't have to go to some fancy. Yeah, I feel like it's.
One about living in New York is they deliver food to your house 24 hours a day.
Yeah, New York.
That'd be dangerous.
New York is fun.
That would be dangerous. You could leave a little heftier than when I got there, if you know what I'm saying. But
sounds like both in the wallet and
in the gut.
Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. But all right, we'll have something else to bitch about tomorrow, I guarantee it. Family show's up in about 6 minutes. Thanks.